Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all fantastic. Today I'm joined by the one and only Ryan over at Scythe Studios. We're talking about the best and the worst of NAMM 2021. This is part one or part two. You can go over to his channel and watch a slightly more in-depth video where we're going to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. But say hi, Ryan.
Hello.
All right. We're just going to rip straight into this because there's, it's a pandemic year, which is a really weird thing to say. It's a pandemic year, like these come around like leap years or something.
They're about to.
Yeah, it feels like that, doesn't it? The thing to keep in mind with a lot of this is I wasn't really expecting anything for NAMM 2021. It's obviously happening in like a digital kind of format, and companies, I think over the last few years anyway, have been leaking and releasing like around it. It feels more of like just a period in time when companies announce products. So yeah, the sort of NAMM thing is very much a, I guess it's like a catch-all for just like product release season or something like that. So
sure,
there's some pretty cool stuff. First one, the Walrus audio, the Mako series, which are already really, their delay looked really, really awesome. I see they've got a stereo reverb pedal, which sounds nice from the demos I've seen. But
excellent.
Is it the ACS1? Basically their version of an Iridium.
Yep, got the all the classic amplifiers to complement that. If you're looking at a Strymon Iridium, I'm glad that there's definitely some competition for that. This kind of stuff doesn't particularly tickle my fancy. I want higher gain and more options, but I get it for the people who just like, I want an amp replacement, good enough, have a couple presets. It's still way cheaper than an amplifier, so yeah, it's a good addition to the lineup.
Yeah, and I feel like this is going to appeal to, again, they've just kind of hit the sweet spot where I know enough people who run pedal boards who they don't want to futz around with an Axe-Fx or a Helix or anything like that. They just want the option on their board to go like, hey, I've already got this established thing. I use a Fender or a Vox or a Marshall as my kind of clean pedal platform.
Yeah,
I just want that, and I want to be able to send it to front of house, whether I'm recording or whether I'm doing a live stream or whether I'm playing live in whatever capacity. You can do that at the moment. That's, I think, a welcome addition to the ecosystem. Talking about pedals, the interesting thing, and I mean, you're either really going to love this or you're going to be underwhelmed by this, but the universal audio pedals, which look, the whole hyping a release thing, that's definitely on the worst list. Like, they had their big viral teas and all that kind of stuff. And
you're not neural DSP. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's so done, if you know what I mean. So, but that's universal audio, and they're gonna sound good. Their plugins sound phenomenal. There is the whole thing where it'll be interesting. I see these pedals say they have downloadable content. So I predict if Universal Audio try to take their plugin format where you need to pay extra money for the plugins that are tied to either the accelerator or the interface, and they try to do that with pedals, it is going to backfire so hard. So if these aren't free updates that come, then mega fail. There's no way anyone will get on it because, like we were talking about before we did the call, have you heard of a company called Strymon, or have you heard about the Boss 500 series? There's plenty of things in this space already. It's a pretty hard sell with anything at the moment to just say, hey, we're doing this now, and our stuff, guys, it really, really sounds amazing. What are you offering on top of that? Because so much stuff sounds amazing. These pedals don't have MIDI, and they basically it seems like they just have a favorite switch. So yeah, I can understand why a lot of people would be underwhelmed. The demos that I heard, they sound amazing, and it's interesting that some of what they've gone for. I know, say with like the modulation, there's like the MXR instant like flanger doubler thing. I don't think an emulation of that's ever existed as a pedal.
No,
the delays sound really, really good. The reverbs sound really, really good. I mean, what was that Chase Bliss Meris Lexicon emulation? Like, that's a very, very pricey thing. And the UAD 224 or whatever, that plugin sounds killer. So if it sounds like that in the pedal, then it's a much cheaper, non-fancy sliders version of the Chase thing, I guess. So through that lens, maybe it's good value. But yeah, I think it's going to be a hard sell to get people to replace their Strymons or anything like that. But they do sound good, but the feature set, I think, is a little bit of a miss.
Agree. What I want, like what I was hoping when they were hyping up this release is like, honestly, just give me a gray box with like 2 knobs on it, like a volume or a mix or just something, and a USB port that I can program presets and MIDI control it. Because if I could, sell me a $200, $300 blank box, and if I got to pay another couple hundred for the plugins, whatever. But if I could have all those algorithms under one hood, that would be something I'd seriously consider. But like you said, this is more of a plug and play. Like, okay, you like those sounds on PC or Mac, put them over here. It does seem kind of like a clashing ecosystem, though. It's like, who wants to buy that? If I don't know, maybe there's a bit of tech savviness disconnect there. I feel like is going on. But like I said, sound great. Maybe not the right form factor, though.
Yeah, and obviously it's their first pedals. It seems like they're really trying to get into the space, so it makes sense. Modulation, reverb, and whatever the other thing was, which I forget off the top of my... That's right, yeah. So yeah, it's cool. Universal Audio are good at what they do, so I'm sure it will be... I know with the Aux, what's that had, like 1 or 2 updates, and that was told as like, it's going to be expanded, and do they have a V30 speaker simulation in there yet?
I don't think...
Yeah, so that's, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Smash that like button. While we're still talking about modeling, though, one of my favorite products from last year was the NUX MG300. It was just very plastic and definitely not roadworthy, but they're doing the MG30, which is, it just looks like it's going to absolutely kick at I think they're $299 US. So
very nice.
It looks like it's the same kind of box as like the Hotone and the Moore and all those kind of things, but I really like just the effects in the NUX stuff. Like their duo time delay is amazing, and I think there's a model of that in there. Their Boss CE1 chorus emulation sounds fantastic. There's IR loading, which is nice. Stuff. If you saw the MG300 demo that I did, it's like, there's some of the amps sound really, really good. You just
above their weight class for sure.
That is one that when it's out, you're going to see on this channel. So, because I'm a big fan of kind of everything they do. So
same.
They're sort of like, I imagine it's like back in the day when, well, I guess there probably weren't even many pedals to choose from, but if you couldn't afford rack stuff, you just got some Boss pedals and they worked. And it feels like they're occupying. If you can't afford the Boss 500 series and stuff like that, you get one of these and it does the thing. So
good to go.
Yeah, good to go there. Should we talk about this Gibson app?
And what's there to say other than, of course, there's a Gibson app, your one-stop shop for all things guitar.
I mean, I know Fender Play apparently has been a big success according to Fender, so believe as much of that as you want, but they made it free for a while during the pandemic, so good on you. It's kind of like the way I used a bunch of free yoga apps while I was stuck at home. I know I'm definitely not buying the full app, but I'm going to get as much free stuff out of it as I can.
Hell yeah.
But
you're losing money if you don't.
Gibson app with the augmented reality. Is it Pokemon Go for guitar? What's happening?
Oh, gross. As if you couldn't think they'd lose touch anymore compared to the last couple of years of debacles. It's just like, maybe the best thing to do, Gibson, is just not talk for a while. And that's definitely what I would recommend. I guess, like you said, maybe they saw some potential success from their competitors, but I just don't hear anybody clamoring about this kind of stuff.
As you were saying earlier, it's some of the, when we say worse, it's either something that doesn't need to be there or it's boring and uninspired, but somehow this ticks both of those boxes in my opinion.
That's an award, it's award worthy in itself.
Yeah. If you're going to get an app, go and get Tom Quayle's solo app, which
there you go.
That's a product for guitar players. The idea that it basically helps you practice and helps you get better and can provide feedback. That should be on the best list. I know it's not really a NAMM thing, but well done well done to Tom and I think David Beebe, who was involved in that as well, who are both not only great players but like great teachers as well.
That's hard to do.
Which is kind of cool. Something that I didn't write down either as well, but the signature Ibanez guitars for like Josh Smith and Lara Basilio, and
yeah, those look nice.
They got some like and the AZ like tellies. That's kind of cool. It's interesting. It's interesting, kind of what they're doing there. Where I feel like, back in the 80s, we look at it now and go like, oh, it makes so much sense that Steve Vai had a signature guitar. But was that an obvious thing for Ibanez to do at the time?
Probably
Steve
not.
Vai, sure, he was playing with David Lee Roth and he went on and played with Whitesnake, but he was still like a niche. The guitar god thing was still very much like a niche thing, and to just let some guy design a guitar from scratch with a monkey grip, and you got the RG shape as a consequence, which is obviously classic. But it feels like then they recognize that like shredder niche, and they went, let's let these people have signature models. Let's have a Reb Beach signature model, Ibanez.
Why not?
Even though Reb was and still is best known for playing Sirs, and it kind of seems like they've done that. Like Josh Smith is a telly guy. He's not getting rid of his vintage tellies or his vintage Les Pauls, and he's still going to play that stuff, but there's an instrument which is basically like he could do what he wanted, and there you go. Same with Lara with the Sirs. And we were talking about on your video how the kind of whole RG series was a bit unimaginative this year, but at least the signature models are cool. I actually don't know how to feel about this, but the EVH, the 5150 models,
yeah,
it's cool that they're bringing back what is that, like it's basically a Kramer Beretta. Was that Ed's thing?
Yeah.
When
More
he
or less.
endorsed Kramer. That's a classic guitar shape, but I don't know if I don't get that plus like Blueburst Poplar Burl.
Not for me.
Give
Maybe this
me
is
Ferrari
like
red.
Yeah, or the hot pink. I can deal with that. That looks pretty sweet. I don't know if this is perhaps some management decisions since Eddie passed away. I know Wolfgang and one of the other main managers are running the show now, but yeah, I totally agree. Like this is like boutique custom shop stuff or Ibanez higher end RG. This does not fit this body shape or the EVH aesthetic whatsoever. And I'm totally down for more options under this branding. Wolfgang Guitars in general, I think branch out a little bit more, but yeah, I think this one's a swing and a miss.
Yeah, and maybe they just won't sell any of them, and they'll kind of get the point. But
That's the hope.
yeah, that felt odd to me. Really felt odd. PRS put out some cool new stuff. Their SEs, I always kind of sing their praises. How did you feel about the Mark Lettieri, the Fior shape, and the whole design there?
Yeah, I'm a little. I'm kind of mixed on this one. This is another one where it's like, why didn't you just play another guitar? But then you say the same thing about the Silver Sky or whatever. I'm sure it's another instance of like this thing probably plays fucking amazingly, but I don't know, the whole Fender vibe with the PRS cutaway. It's another one of those like it doesn't look like it should be there, and it's new and it's scary, and I don't know how to feel about it yet. But It sounds good. It's got the humbucker single coil setup, which I really like on a lot of the 25.5-inch scale or anything non-Gibson scale that I've played. So
It's a PRS
I think
shovel.
Right. It's exactly what it is. So I think I need some time to let it settle a little bit.
So yeah, the SE Custom 24 specs look really, really good, which I think it's kind of cool that now, what do they have, like 4 tiers because they have private stock, but
Right.
the fact that you can kind of get basically the same guitar, more or less the same concept at different price points is kind of cool. So you have the SE, the S2, the Core, and then obviously they have their whole private stock thing. And yeah, I think there was because they did the SE semi-hollow last year, which I thought was really cool because I've always wanted one of their hollow body guitars, and the fact that that's a bit more accessible price-wise, especially down here, is very, very cool. So yeah, I don't know. Again, let me know in the comments. I think Mark Lettieri definitely deserves a signature model guitar just because he's incredible, and he seems like a pretty all-around just like good dude. And again, it's sort of like the Ibanez thing I can see there, where I don't know if everybody thinks of Mark and thinks of PRS guitars, but it's cool that he's just been able to design his thing.
Yeah, that's what a good signature is to me.
Rather than Poplar Burl blue bursts on an existing thing. You know, the Poly stuff, I already own one of these, but if people didn't know, you could load 2 different firmwares in this. One was based around modulation and synthesis. The other was based around like convolution and reverb. So if you wanted to have the really good sounding dimension style chorus running into like a reverb IR of say a Lexicon 224, you couldn't do it, but now you can. So that's all in one, and they do it as a Euro rack. So I think that's going to dominate Euro rack.
Yeah, totally. What's not to love?
I do justify having this and an H9 because an H9 is just plug and play, phone app, all that kind of thing. This is more of, this is an instrument, you know, so that's cool. And Australian, so I wish them all the best with that. The other product, which I think is pretty cool, look, I pulled this out because I forgot that I owned it. You probably can't see it, but it's the Multiwave Distortion, the sound blocks from Source Audio. They're weird, plastic. It sounds so cool. I bought it and did not get it at the time, but this is rad. And I saw they've announced a new Multiwave, which is awesome because I think that stomp box format is so much more appropriate. And
totally.
You know, their Neuro Hub, like Source Audio have been killing it. They're doing really, really cool stuff. The thing I wanted to just chew the fat with, and I'll ask you about as well, is I think it was like on their Instagram or something. It's like, we've got this new thing, but we're going to put 50 of them for sale. It's still basically a beta thing. And we want like creative and inspiring musicians to go and pick this thing up, and they're selling it on Reverb. So how do you feel about that? Basically making people pay to be beta testers.
Yeah, I mean, I should, I guess, be more disappointed, but it's been going on in, you know, the video game and in hardware technology industry for the past 15 years, it seems. So I'm not surprised. If they care about R&D that much, they would do what most, you know, small mom and pop shops do and get a hold of, you know, your usual suspects on YouTube and say, hey, you know, we want some feedback. Could you play with this thing behind the scenes? And, you know, we'll send you a pre-production unit, and then you can take notes. And maybe by the time you do a demo on it and it's ready to go, then, you know, we'll add stuff there. Or at the very least, you know, here's our launch product and tell us what you think we should update later, that sort of thing. But no, I'm not a fan of here's a beta product, pay for it. It's a little bit different than sending it out to, you know, someone to tour with or road test or whatever as a service rather than the other way around. But like I said, this is industry. This is going to be industry standard. I have a feeling.
Yeah, which is terrible. That's a terrible thing. I'll
Depressing.
say that right away. I'm not a fan of that. You can see with video games the problems that has led to with several prominent releases recently. But to me, it just, maybe I'm not getting it, but if I can also get where it looks like several of these boutique companies, like when Strymon came out with the Night Sky, you did not see every prominent YouTube channel with over like 150,000 subs put out a video on it on the first day. You know, they sent it. I thought it was kind of cool that there was like a bunch of people who do like cool different types of content. You know, it's like a pedal for sort of like creative. I won't say creative because that's like saying that, you know, if you play gent in drop B that you're not creative. You are. It was more like that's a kind of like indie hipster pedal, and they got a bunch of people who make that kind of music. I don't say hipster in a derogatory sense either. It's a different, it's not a metal guitar, rock guitar thing. So there were channels that have like 1,000 subs who clearly got one of this, and they put out interesting videos with it. Just go and like do your work and find those cool channels and support those people, and at the very least send them a unit, you know, in return for their work, or better yet, you know, pay them something or make it worth their while for your R&D.
It's not the other way around. You don't get to charge people for, I mean, I guess you do if no one stops you, but it's not the way it should work. But yeah, I mean, my advice would just be don't support this kind of thing, which, you know, like you're saying, they make great effects. Kind of sucks we have to say that about Source Audio, but there it is.
We'll talk about the Quad Cortex because I'm sure every third comment on your channel, like mine, is, hey, what do you think of the Quad Cortex?
Yeah.
You know, at least at least they've been delayed by the pandemic, and there's been a whole bunch of issues with that. But they've kind of sent it out to everybody you would expect them to send it out to, and those people have been teasing it and providing feedback. And at least I saw something where I think it was maybe Keith Merrow, and it was he found an issue with an actual thing in the production thing, which, hey, that makes sense. If you want to make the ultimate metal guitar floorboard, you should send it to people who do that type of music and let them absolutely thrash it and find those flaws. So that's kind of a cool thing. But did you have a flick through the manual?
I have, and I think as you'd mentioned not too long ago, it doesn't seem. I guess this is the way I would put it, especially for recording. There's really no incentive for me to not just use one of their built-in plugins and instead of one of these things. For as far as a single guitar chain goes, it just doesn't seem all that powerful compared to some of the competition out there. If you're running a couple or you're doing some some cool studio things, then I could totally see like the guitars and bass at the same time, and that's pretty neat. But as far as just like a dickhead like me sitting in the studio, it's not for me. Clearly this is not the product for me from their lineup.
The thing that's cool is you can combine multiple captures, which you can't do with a Kemper. So the idea that you can capture your favorite Fortin OD9 Maxon and then your favorite amp, and then shoot a separate IR of your cab and combine those. That's kind of cool. I can see
that.
That seems to be the flagship thing. I like that idea. But then a lot of the things with the routing and I guess the kind of launch effects list is it's a little bit underwhelming if you're used to Fractal or you're used to the Helix or something like that. The big thing that I was quite surprised and disappointed by was the lack of internal modifiers.
Yes, that's just a big no-go for me. And after Axe Effects has spoiled both of us in terms as far as that goes, but I'm not expecting to be able to tweak every little thing. But when Line 6 has you beat with Helix on the stuff that you can tweak on a lot of these amp models, I'm a little skeptical.
It seems like, hey, multiple captures and it's got a touch screen, so they're the two big things. And I'm sure that the next gen Helix and Kemper and stuff like that, they're probably all going to do those things anyway. So
exactly,
it's like first gen hardware, so a lot of people won't go for it, and then the competitors will go, well, what did it do right? And let's just add those things to our established ecosystem.
That's what I'm waiting on.
Yeah, so it's exciting in that like, how's everybody going to respond to that? So kudos to NeuroDSP for trying and for actually putting in a bunch of stuff people want. It'll be interesting to see how it goes once they're out there in the wild. I will just say, though, what kind of psychopath puts out a digital manual with white text on a black background?
It's night mode, bro. Come on.
Yeah, it's...
print it out. It's fine.
I know it's an easy fix to invert the colors, but it just felt, when I was reading through, I was like, why am I having a bad time with this? So yeah,
dark glass, dark pages.
Hey, exactly. But yeah, that'll be that's an exciting product. What it can do at launch is probably not for me, and it's probably a bit underwhelming, but it will be very interesting to see how well supported it is. And again, it's their first thing. What else are they going to do? Are they going to do just an amp modeling thing with one foot switch?
Right.
For $500, or are they going to do a big rack mount unit at some point? Or will that just remain the only thing they do? There's a lot of interesting stuff to come, I think.
Yeah, hopefully not. I'd be in favor of like the Universal Audio thing. They just make like a little stomp pedal that you can load one or two of the plugins on at the same time and play those live. Be able to switch through some presets. That would be absolutely sick. I'd pay for that.
Big time. Yeah. Just load up one of the amps from the Pliny plugin. That would be sick. That thing sounds so good.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all I've got time for today anyway, before I run. Thanks again, cool, man, for hanging out and chewing the fat. And if anybody enjoyed this video, they can head over to Ryan's channel and watch us talk about even more gear and some of his
shameless
favorite
plug.
yeah, some of his hits and misses for NAMM 2021. If anybody wants to weigh in the comments section and let us know what they really liked or didn't like from the big roster of things that have come out so far, please let us know in the comments. And until next time, stay safe, be good to one another. We'll both see you all then.
Adios.